大家好，我是张先建，今天是2021年11月13号，今天是我学习英语的第13天，今天我学习了第7个课程，谢谢大家，上帝保佑我。
I live in a house.
I live in a house.
We live in an apartment.
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 I live in an apartment.
I live in an apartment.
We live in a house.
We live in a house. We live in
She lives in an apartment.
a house.
She lives in an apartment.
She lives in 她住在 She lives in an apartment 她住在一个公寓里
We live in an apartment.
We live in an apartment. We live in 我们住在 an apartment 一个公寓里
I live in a house.
I live in 我住在 in a house 一个房子里 I live in a house.
They live in a house.
They live in 他们住在 in a house 他们住在一个房子里 They live in a house.
Rome. Rome.
Rome,
Rome.
Rome,
Rome.
Rome,
Paris.
Paris, Paris,
Paris.
Paris,
Moscow.
Moscow,
Moscow.
Moscow, Moscow.
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
I live in apartment 8.
我住在 11住在 I live in apartment 8. I live in apartment 8.
I live in apartment 8.
我住在公寓
Where do
8
you
号
live?。
你 Do you live? 你住 Do you live? Where do you 你住哪里 Where do you live?
Where do you live?
I live in apartment 2.
I live in apartment 2. 我住在
I
公寓
live in
8号，
apartment 2.
公寓2号。I 住在公寓2号。
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
I live in
I
Moscow.
live in Moscow.
我住在莫斯科。I live in Moscow.
I live in Moscow.
Where do you live?
你住哪里 Where do you live? 我住在
Where do you
巴
live?
黎。I
I
live
live in Paris.
I live in Paris.
I live in Paris.